on Bryan Houston Sports Radio Live.
Baltimore, we coming home, baby. We did it.
Today on Bryan Houston Sports Radio Live.
Michael lob down the middle. Caught. Bolden. Touchdown. Ravens. Touchdown. Ravens. Dennis Pitta on the receiving end. Flacco in the shotgun. Steps up in the pocket. Throwing deep. He's got Jacoby Jones open at the 10. Jones makes the catch. He's not touched. Bounces up. Touchdown. Ravens. He could go all the way. Jacoby Jones. 108 yards. Ray Lewis stares across the line. Colin Kaepernick. Lewis comes on a blitz. Kaepernick lob to the end zone. Incomplete. Ray Lewis and the defense deliver. 3 seconds left. 2. Time has expired. And the hay's in the barn. The Baltimore Ravens are Super Bowl champions.
On 99.3 Talk FM, it's Bryan Houston Sports Radio Live.
Touchdown, Ravens.
Here's Bryan Houston.
Man, makes my throat sore.
I'm telling you.
Gee whiz.
Whoa.
All right. Ravens are the Super Bowl champions today. And we got a guy on the phone with us right now who knows a few things about Super Bowls. He won 2 Super Bowl rings when he played with the Dallas Cowboys, and wanted to get his take on what he saw last night in the Super Bowl as the Ravens beat the 49ers. So with us right now on the APEC VIP hotline, cutting edge training for the serious athlete, apecgo.com. Joining us right now to talk about that, the greatest Dangerfield Tiger, Thomas Everett. How you doing, Thomas?
Bryan, I'm wonderful, man. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, sir. Can hear you great. So you watched the game last night. What'd you think?
Well, my hat's off to Baltimore. They did a great job. They started fast, as you always want, and, they finished up strong. They did a great job, and it was a pretty good ball game besides the, that what happened right after halftime.
Have you ever been in a ball game where something like that happened? Where I don't know if there's something like the lights going out for 35 minutes, but have you ever been involved in something where the delay just went on forever?
No, I've never been in anything like that. I have been in a game where the clocks went off.
Oh yeah.
Oh, they went off, but no, nothing like that.
Okay, well, I'm glad to hear that. All right, what is it about this Baltimore team you think makes it a Super Bowl champion team?
Well, I think first of all you have to, always start with the leader of the team. And I know most people think Ray Lewis, but I'm talking their head coach. I mean, Coach Harbaugh he's done a good job, every year he's been there, to be honest with you. And the team has gotten better and better and better. And, they've always knocked at the door. But they're a complete football team, very solid, no weak areas anywhere, and they come to play. They come to play every Sunday, and this week, yesterday was no exception.
When you watch a ball game like this, how do you watch it? Can you watch it like a fan, or do you break it down like a coach, or what's going through your mind? Are you thinking about the time when you played in the Super Bowl? I mean, how do you approach that?
Yeah. But I get invited to go to a lot of games and watch them with people. It's hard for me to do it, basically because of just what you said. I don't watch the game like a normal person jumping up and screaming and doing all that. Mm-hmm. Watching it for, I watch it from a technical standpoint, from a coach's standpoint, point of view. I'm looking at, being a defensive guy, looking at how they're running their defenses, how they're doing things, how they're, especially like right now with San Francisco having that kind of offense that they had with the read option. Mm-hmm. That was one thing I wanted to look at and see how Baltimore would approach that. And I love what they did. If you really look at that and look at their mindset of how they played the read option, I mean, I look at football from that standpoint. I'm always looking at it to see how I can teach young players how to do things, and things that I see the professionals do and that work. And so that's how I look at a football game. Of course, I'm viewing it as well, but it's more from a a technical, and we're looking at it from a coach's standpoint of view.
Try to explain it to a football idiot like myself. What exactly did they do yesterday that kept that read option from being a real weapon for the 49ers? Because Kaepernick didn't get loose very often.
You know what, and see, that's why, you know, the spread will work for a little while, but coaches on the NFL level, they'll figure it out. And the reason that it'll work in some points, it's going to be a staple, and some teams will use it if they have the quarterback, but a lot of teams won't use it all the time, and they'll take a piece of what Baltimore did. So here's what Baltimore did last night. Whenever they were in the, especially if there's two kinds. There's a pistol where the back is right behind the quarterback, and then there's the read where the back is offset and they're still running.
Right.
If you look at how they were running it, whichever side Kaepernick opened up to, the end guy, and this is the way you have to stop, whether it's a wishbone team, whether it's a veer team, which Bill Yeoman and those guys used to run at the University of Houston when I was at Baylor. The way you have to stop it is when that read, when the back is coming and they're getting ready to the mesh, we call it a mesh, whenever he's sticking it in that belly. Well, what Baltimore did, their outside linebacker, he didn't do anything but ran right at Kaepernick, and Kaepernick handed that ball off every time.
A smart man, shows he's got some brains.
He handed it off every time. So what that tells me is the outside linebacker, that was his job. I'm going to get the quarterback. And so Ray Lewis, the defensive lineman, the inside guys, they all had to dive, which was the back. So that's how they handled it last night.
Tell me what you think of Anquan Bolden.
Man, you know what? I was just thinking about that guy. That guy is a beast. He's a, he's a man. I don't think people realize how big he is. He's about 35 pounds, and then he has that athleticism to go along with it. And plus, he's such a competitor. He's the perfect kind of receiver for that kind of team. And I tell you what, he made Joe Flacco last night.
Well, there were some similarities. I kept looking at the game last night, especially early when Baltimore jumped out to the early lead and it looked like they were going to blow San Francisco out of the game. Bolden always has reminded me of Michael Irvin, not quite as emotional as Irvin, but he's big. He makes these ridiculous catches. I mean, he attacks the football, and he's so competitive. And I was hearing a story yesterday where they were talking about the possibility of releasing him so they could get under the cap and free up some cap space. And I'm thinking, man, release him. Let Dallas sign him, because I could love to see that guy with his leadership abilities and the way he competes. That's the kind of guy Dallas needs.
Yeah, he's a very. I think they'll do something they got to keep him. He's such a good player. But as you can see, teams that sometimes win Super Bowls, they start dismantling the team, because they figure they've, reached what they need, and now they start, making the changes, and that's when you start seeing teams fall apart. But he's obviously a valuable. He's always been productive. I mean, even when he was with the Cardinals. I mean, the guy's always been. He's always in the top. I think one of the top 10 to 15 receivers in the league every year since he's played. That's what I think.
Did they get it right by naming Flacco the most valuable player, or should Jacoby Jones been the MVP?
Well, Jacoby Jones did a great job, no doubt about that. I think it's kind of how it goes, man. They're going to give it to some give it to a quarterback or running back.
Always.
To the side. So I mean, you could pick and choose, but Joe Flacco did a great job. I mean, he's done a good job throughout the entire playoffs, and I don't think the guy turned the ball over once.
No, not in the entire 11 touchdowns, no interceptions, and that brought to mind Aikman. The first couple of years he was with you guys, and the kind of run he had in the playoffs. When you don't turn the ball over at all, that's incredible.
Yeah, and I think his body of work throughout the playoffs solidified that MVP award. No doubt about that.
All right, so they jump out to this big lead against the 49ers, who looked, and you tell me if you agree with this, the 49ers looked like they were so tight coming out of the ballgame. They just looked like they were completely out of sorts for the whole first half.
Yeah, they. That's one thing we always talk about in the game is to start fast. Start fast. Always start fast. And San Francisco just did not do that. And there weren't. It's not like you're playing Atlanta this time. You're playing against a team that has a very good defense. Better overall players than Atlanta, and those guys smell blood early. To be honest with you, I think if the blackout hadn't have happened, I think a lot worse than what it was.
I agree with you because you could see it. When Jones returned the kickoff all the way for the touchdown, 108 yards, and it was 28-6 at that point, and you could just see the blood on the water and the sharks circling, and then the lights went out. And I was telling my wife, I said, "This is going to take all the air out of Baltimore right now."
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I think someone I was watching on television, I think it's somebody on First Take I was watching this morning, mentioned how I think when they restarted the game, you could see Jim had a lot of time to speak with him and talk with him, and I think they had just kind of to a point. Hey, let's just go out and play and forget about forget about what the score is, and then they got a little energy when they scored a touchdown. They got some energy, then they got a turnover, and they got right back in the game, and no doubt about that helped those guys, and obviously with younger legs on the San Francisco team, that helped out a ton.
Former Dallas Cowboy Thomas Everett on Bryan Houston Sports Radio Live on 99.3 Talk FM. What'd you think of the officiating crew? For instance, when the head linesman got shoved by Kerry Williams, and Williams didn't get thrown out of the ball game.
Well, I think a lot of referees got pushed around in that little scuffle. I think if you look at that, there was a lot of. Come on, there's so much stuff going on there. I think they handled it the right way. You're not going to throw a guy out, for that when he's on the bottom of a pile and everybody's pulling on him and he jumped. He doesn't know who that is initially, but there'll still probably be some fines go down.
Oh, I'll bet.
There'll still probably be some fines go down because I don't think you can't put your hand on refs. So I'm sure that'll happen, but I think they handled it the right way by not throwing anyone out of the game. Now there was some calls in the game that I thought were borderline that they could have easily made, but hey, that's the way it goes.
The last four offensive plays the 49ers had when they were down by 5, and they had to score, and they had the ball inside the 5-yard line, and they throw the ball 3 straight times. What'd you think of that? And then they never really gave Kaepernick a chance to try to run to get in. What'd you think about that series of plays down there at the end of the game?
Well, I think they. Hey, you know what? I know the coaches are. You always have hindsight, but I'm sure they're, second questioning themselves as well, because I think down there, if you you've been eating them up, spreading them out. Spread them out, leave Kaepernick back there, and that just puts lesser guys in the box. And with his athleticism, I think you need to get him on the move because he can find receivers or he can run it in. So I think by them, squeezing the formation down, putting 2 tight ends in the back, getting in that pistol with 3 backs back there. I think that was the wrong thing because Baltimore just brought 9.
Yeah, they blitzed him every play.
Yeah, they just brought him, and they were like, the hell with it. We're going to go get it, and he's going to have to make a perfect throw in order to win this game. And in a situation like that, everybody's talking about the hole that the kid had on Crabtree.
Right.
Be honest with you, I think that was a bad pass. He didn't give Crabtree an opportunity to catch the ball. I don't think. I just think it was too far wide, and he didn't give his receiver an opportunity to make a play.
Were you okay with the non-call?
Oh yeah, no doubt. In that situation there, oh yeah.
You sound like a defensive back.
Well, but I'm still. Hey, everybody's battling down there. Ref isn't gonna. I don't think a ref is gonna make, that call.
Right.
But, I mean, especially when Crabtree, he pretty much initiated the contact and ran right at the guy. So I think all bets are off at that point. But I think there was still an opportunity if he was throwing a better ball than what he did.
Right. Okay, now I want you to tell me from your perspective, what do you recall about after you won the Super Bowl that first time? What kind of night was it like for you guys after that?
Man, that night I had I remember having a bad shoulder. I think I had took a cortisone shot, so I was in some pain. Me personally, it was much joy, but when that cortisone shot wore off,
oh man,
yeah,
that's when the champagne's got to kick in.
I didn't even go to the after party down in the hotel.
Are you kidding me?
I did not go. I could not even sit up.
Wow. Well, did you get to party the next year?
Gosh, what did we do then? I was banged up that one, but I think we kicked it too. But tell you what,
you went back to your room and played dominoes, didn't you?
No. I mean, I remember a few of us guys because we were getting ready to go, because we were going to have to leave early the next morning and go to Hawaii for the Pro Bowl.
Oh man.
And I declined. There were about 4 of us declined not to go. We didn't even go.
Wow.
We had to fly all the way from Atlanta to Hawaii.
You're gonna blow off Hawaii, even. You know you were hurting.
Yeah, I was hurting both of them. So. Golly.
Well, at least you got the rings to show for it, right?
Yeah.
Now, where do you keep the rings?
Well, Bryan, I think I don't know if you saw this a few years ago, and some people don't even realize it. My rings were stolen.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
My rings were stolen back in '06.
Oh man.
So whoever's got them right now, he's walking around with chest stains for the rest of his life. And
you got the voodoo working on him then, right? Wow.
Yeah.
That stinks.
Yeah, so I have the rings I have is my college football Hall of Fame and my Baylor Hall of Fame ring.
Wow. Well, one of these days you need to get a replica made or something, I guess, if you could. I don't know what that would cost, but way more than I could ever imagine. But
and when you had the real thing, a replica isn't going to do.
Yeah, I guess it's true. Man, that stinks. Okay, well, I'm sorry I brought up a sore subject anyway. So
that's okay, man. I've moved forward from those.
Apparently. Well, hey, listen, Thomas, thanks very much for coming on with us today and breaking down the game and talking a little bit about what it was like for you back then. And we look forward to talking to you again down the line, okay?
That's great. I love it.
Good deal. Thomas Everett, the former Dangerfield Tiger and Dallas Cowboy, on Bryan Houston Sports Radio Live on 99.3 Talk FM. Back with more in just a moment.